Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's Dirt Bike 203 here, and I know I haven't posted in a bloody ages, but it's time to post again. For the first video of 2020, I'm gonna make a video on how to make your motorized heaps more reliable, because as they are, they're not reliable at all. Always breaking, always fixing it. So yeah, here we go. The first thing you want to do is you want to change your chain tensioner. The one that you get with the bike stock is just not good at all. I'll put the link to this in the description, but you can buy these spring-loaded chain tensioners that you can mount to the engine. They're way better. Instead of always sliding the old one back, you can just put this one, and it's always adjusting the chain. Like as soon as you bolt it on, there's a little bit of adjustment. You can raise the spring and lower it, but your chain will always be tensioned. And even if your sprocket's just a little bit off, it'll keep the chain on. When I had the old chain tensioner on this, it was always falling off, always snapping spokes. Not good, not good. But get this one. I'll put a link to this in the description, don't worry, but it's like 25 bucks or something, but it's definitely worth the money. This is the first thing you want to do. Don't try modding it out. You want to make it more reliable first, then mod it out and break your engine, your bike. The frame this is on is a beach cruiser, but it will work the same for all frames. Okay, another thing you want to do to make your bike more reliable is to change the chain. The chain that you get with these are junk. They're just made of light steel. Not very reliable at all, not strong. So what you want to do, you can pick these up for cheap as on dirt bike stores or just eBay. You can buy dirt bike chains. They're a lot thicker, but it's worth the trouble because these dirt bike chains, they'll never snap. Take my word for it, these things will last ages. Like you have to space out the case and the chain guard a little bit, because the chain will hit because it's a bit thicker. But that's pretty much all you have to do, really. I will leave a link to this chain I've got on at the moment. The next thing you want to do to make your motorized bike more reliable is to align the wheel with the frame so the chain is straight. You want your chains, both sides of the chains, the bottom and the top, to be in line. If they're not, it's going to come off. And you also want to make sure your wheel is perfectly aligned with the frame to make sure you get no wobble and to make sure the sprocket stays straight. Even though these chains are strong as, you still want to keep them lubed up just to make them last as long as you can. These things will last for ages. You'll probably never have to change them. As long as you keep it maintained and lube the chain up. Now that we covered the chain, the sprocket and the chain tensioner and the wheel alignment, I'm going to move on to how to keep your engine reliable and always running. So what you don't want to do is run it without a fuel filter. It'll just force way too much fuel into your carb. It'll never run right. You'll have to keep on tuning. You have to keep on tuning it all the time. So you don't want to just leave the same fuel filter on. You want to change it maybe every couple. No. You want to change it. You want to change it as often as possible, just to keep the filter nice and clean, keep the fuel going into the carb nice and clean, so you don't wreck your piston or cylinder. As soon as, if you don't know what a fuel filter does, I mean you should by now, but if you don't have one of these yet, and you're looking at buying them, you need to get one. Even if you're looking at buying one of these and you don't have one already, you need to buy spare ones, because you go through them quick as. Like, people don't change them, but you need to keep these things nice and fresh to keep your fuel going to the carb clean. The next thing you want to do is make sure the spark plug that came with the kit is the right spark plug. Usually they'll come with the right one, but sometimes on the odd chance you'll get the wrong spark plug. You want to make sure you get the right spark plug. I would recommend heat level 5. That's what most people use on their motorized bikes. It does work good. You can't buy these spark plugs anywhere, like in stores. You can't buy these spark plugs in stores, so you have to buy them. You can't buy these spark plugs anywhere, so you have to buy them off eBay and other websites. Another thing you want to do to make your motorized always running. Another thing you want to do to make sure your motorized is always running at full potential is always tighten down your head bolts. These things come loose heaps. They always come loose because of the vibrations from the engine. I'll leave the torque settings in the description that you have to tighten each one to. That you have to tighten each bolt to. You want to tighten them in a cross pattern. If you don't know what a cross pattern is, it's pretty easy. You just want to grab your socket or your torque wrench and tighten it. You can start from whichever bolt you want, but you just want one here, the next one across, not next to it, across. Then you want to go to one of the ones you haven't done yet, tighten it, then across. It's bloody simple. If you keep that up, your head gasket will last ages. The next thing you want to do is make sure your engine mount bolts are always tight. When the engine mounts get loose, the engine will tilt and knock the chain off the sprocket, which you don't want when you're riding because it will scratch up your paint and destroy your chain probably. You should all know how to tighten these bolts up. Even if you want, you can put another. If you want to restrict it from vibrating off as much, you can put another bolt on as well, just to keep it on there. But as long as you keep tightening these bolts, you'll never have a problem with the chain coming off, and the engine will always stay straight. If you don't know where the engine mounts are because you bought the bike with the engine already, there's one here and one back there at the back. Pretty bloody simple, but some people probably have no idea. Another thing you want to look out for that will make your bike run less reliable is that your carb is fully pushed on, because these things can slip forward and when they slip forward they'll create a vacuum leak and let excess fuel out of the carb and it'll just run like shit. So yeah, you want to tighten the carb up. It's simple, it just slips on, and there's a square nut and a Phillips head bolt. It's pretty easy, you just want to keep that tight. This is what the old chain and old tensioner looks like. As you can see, it's just made of cheap metal. As you can see, it's made of cheap material. The roller, it's just, you just want to change this, and this would mount up. So this used to mount right here and push the chain up, and a lot of the time it would slip into the spokes and snap spokes. It's just not worth using these. I definitely recommend buying one of these. It makes life a whole lot easier. And with the chain, compared to the old chain compared to the Alright guys, the last thing you're going to want to do is to disassemble your engine and take your cylinder off to clean out the ports, the intake and the exhaust. So all you're gonna need is a Dremel and a little grinding bit for it. If you don't have a Dremel, you can just get a drill and buy one of these little grinding bits. Anything that'll clean up the So all you're gonna want to do is get your Dremel, fire up, yeah, and that's it. But on this cylinder there's not much that has to be done, because this one that came out, this one when I bought it was already cleaned, and different manufacturers will have different thing, but I was just lucky with this one. Usually they'll have big chunks of metal sticking out that you'll have to clean off both ends, the exhaust and the intake. So yeah, so that's the last thing I'm going to be covering to make your motorized reliable. I hope this video has been helpful, and see you in the next one. See you guys.